You might think I'm out of my mind for claiming that the wealthy and their businesses already give more than their fair share to society, even without writing bigger checks to the IRS. But hear me out. When we talk about fair share, we focus solely on taxes. Yet businesses contribute far more, really, than many are willing to give them credit for. They fuel the tax base, generate jobs, drive innovation, and enrich society in countless ways. The real question is not where the world would be if businesses paid more taxes, but where the world would be without all of their other contributions. But that raises another question. How was all this built and funded in the first place, and what keeps it all running? In other words, how did we get here? The answer is simple: business. It's quite literally the primary source of all of the money. Society isn't sustained by taxes. It's powered by the revenue businesses generate, which ultimately funds the taxes that are collected. Everything in our modern world, the technology we use, the goods we consume, the infrastructure that we rely on, exists because of business and commerce. It wasn't the government that built this advanced society, regardless of what former President Barack Obama once famously tried to suggest. It was the innovation, determination, and resources of businesses that did that. And of course, the money that those businesses ultimately generated that someone paid a portion of taxes on, be that the businesses themselves or you and I. That's not to dismiss the government's role either, mind you, but no government service can match the transformative power of what business has achieved, nor what it will achieve in the future. Businesses are the very foundation upon which everything else is built. Without their contributions, the systems and services we depend on simply wouldn't exist. They are literally the driving force behind progress. Again, the issue with fair share debates is that they focus solely on money. The government excels at painting businesses as villains, and itself as the hero, which is part of the reason they can get a lot of people to nod their heads when it's brought up. Sure, the government might hand you a check, but before it can do that, it has to get the money from somewhere else first. The government does not generate revenue, remember. It simply takes from revenue someone else generates. Wait a second, you might be wondering. Are you saying it's fair for those on the front lines to shoulder most of the tax burden while those at the top with far greater means contribute less? How does that add up? How is that fair? Because if businesses don't contribute more, that's what will happen. I'll grant you, it's a fair question. And yes, I am actually suggesting that. But again, it depends on how you are balancing the question and answer here. What I am talking about is the overreaching contribution, not just the taxes themselves. First off, let's not ignore the fact that U.S. businesses account for the generation of and collection of 93% of all taxes. Whether they pay directly out of their own pockets or remit taxes collected on the behalf of others, their contribution is massive and undeniable. You could argue that taxes remitted on behalf of others don't count as the business's contributions to the tax base, but without the business, would those taxes even exist? The business creates the job, which generates the taxable wage. It produces the taxable products on the store shelves. And when it turns a profit, especially as a publicly traded company, it creates wealth for shareholders, which can also be taxed. It's like a modern-day take on the story of the house that Jack built, but this time it's business laying the foundation. This brings me to another key point in understanding why businesses already pay more than their fair share, and that's profits. Yes, those same profits that make the rich richer and bring smiles to shareholders' faces. These profits fuel more job creation, expand the tax base, and drive economic growth. And let's not forget who all those shareholders actually are. They're not just wealthy Wall Street moguls. Many are everyday people working and living on Main Street, investing in their futures and actively contributing to the economy. Seen in this light, it's clear how many opportunities we owe directly to businesses and the profits they generate. It really does benefit us all, even if it doesn't always feel that way. When we look up to question those at the top, we often take for granted what's trickling down. Sometimes we don't even acknowledge it. Instead, we focus on feeling overtaxed and undervalued, losing sight of the bigger picture. We have to think harder about this fair share thing. How much less would we have without the contributions of businesses? How much harder would it be to chase our own dreams, build wealth, or even start our own business to further contribute to society and the aspirations of others? When we talk about a fair share, we fixate on a check sent to the IRS. overlooking everything else that businesses bring to the table, both for us and for society as a whole.